Good afternoon. It is amazing to see so many people here today. We are sold out at over 500 people. Thank you for being here. And so many familiar faces. It's amazing. Welcome to Louisville Downtown Partnership State of the Downtown. I'm Rebecca Fleischaker. I'm Executive Director of Louisville Downtown Partnership. We are the only organization in the city solely dedicated to downtown's economic growth and vitality. And we're so excited that you are here with us today to please keep eating lunch, by the way. Don't stop. We're just going to get started on the program. Talk about what's going on in downtown, how much there is, and also update you on the downtown strategy. That so many of you are here today is just a testament to how many people feel so good about downtown. Before we get started, I would like to recognize some very important people who are here. Mayor Craig Greenberg, who you will hear from in a bit. President of our Metro Council, Brent Ackerson. Ken Herndon, Councilman Ken Herndon over District 4, which includes downtown. Our Chief of Police, Paul Humphrey. Major Brian Edelin, Commander of the 1st Division, which includes downtown. Our two board chairs, the Board Chair of Downtown Development Corporation, Lance Gilbert, and Board Chair of Louisville Downtown Management District, Andy Trinan. A ton of board members who are here. I also know former Mayor Jerry Abramson is in the crowd. Councilman Ben Reno Weber, District 8. Deputy Mayor David James, and I'm sure I'm missing some other people. Thank you all for being here. It's a great day. And to our sponsors who made this event possible. Thank you to our table sponsors, all 21 of you, for bringing your teams. Thank you. Let's clap for them. Thank you to our champion sponsors, Angels Envy, Baird, Churchill Downs, Fifth Third Bank, and Stockyards Bank. And a big thank you to our returning presenting sponsor, Republic Bank Foundation. Steve Traeger, Executive Chair, is here to say a few words on their behalf. Please help me welcome Steve to the stage. Either way.
Well, thank you, and thank all of you all for being here. We're all somewhat preaching to the choir because if you are here, you know how important downtown is. And I'm sure you're like me, just walking into the Marriott, experiencing their hospitality here, seeing the action is very, very rewarding, and it happens, I think, because of everybody in this room, and thanks to Rebecca's leadership and the partnership, a lot of good things are happening. I mean, just the fact that we have 100 more folks at this luncheon than we had last year, and this is the second year of this luncheon. So at Republic Bank, we're proud to sponsor this luncheon. You know, we are all in on downtown. I'm very proud to say we've got about 350 associates that work downtown. We've actually moved 140 additional folks downtown in the last year. So thank you. So we are drinking the Kool-Aid of downtown. We think there's a lot of fantastic opportunities. And people ask me all the time, well, what was your experience moving people downtown? And I can tell you, certainly there were some initial obstacles to accomplishing that, you know, with our folks, and maybe some hesitancy. I can tell you that since we've moved these folks downtown, they are delighted. They are excited. It's still the hub of the city. They know how important it is to our city, and they know at Republic Bank we try to go beyond just talking the talk. We try to walk the walk. So again, thank you all for your participation here, and thanks, Rebecca, for your leadership. Let's continue to make great progress downtown. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve, and Republic Bank Foundation for your commitment to downtown and for believing in what we're doing. Okay, so right off the bat, I'd like to highlight a few things that I think is hard evidence that downtown is thriving and continuing to grow. We finished off 2024 with an exciting NCAA volleyball tournament at the Yum Center and broke an NCAA attendance record with nearly 22,000 people at the final game, and that weekend brought in almost $10 million in economic impact to the city. That plaza was packed with tens of thousands of people and programming for the whole weekend, exactly what that space was built for. Let's do that more. We've got a new residential development taking place at 4th and Broadway. LDG's Motorworks Apartments is going to bring 319 new units, with more coming behind, bringing new pedestrian activity and vibrancy to that very important corridor. The sound production stages at Louisville Gardens, they are happening. This $70 million huge economic impact not only is good for this area of downtown, putting new life into the old Armory building and hopefully surrounding surface parking lots, but also for our film industry and the hundreds of jobs that will come to Louisville because of this redevelopment. Just this week, it's been a huge week, we've had a handful of huge announcements. The new Hotel Bourbon softly opened at 2nd and Market, adding 168 new hotel rooms to downtown's nearly 7,000 rooms. Development is moving forward at the Butchertown Soccer Stadium District, adding 200 high-end housing units and mixed-use development. While not downtown, Sheehan Landing opened this week, offering 80 rooms of permanent supportive housing with wraparound services for some of our community's hardest to house and fragile individuals, some of who do live on our downtown streets. And yesterday, we cut the ribbon on Playport at Waterfront Phase 4. What a week. And, not done yet, Louisville Downtown Partnership and Mayor Greenberg are working with Bats baseball team owners and their development arm to create a new living and entertainment destination on the old Sandlot, the parking lot adjacent to Slugger Field. That is going to be a whole new way to watch a baseball game. And speaking of baseball, today just so happens to be opening day for Major League Baseball, an auspicious day for baseball teams and their fans. And I bring this up because even if you don't like baseball, and I don't want to hear it if you don't, as a fan of any team, surely you can appreciate the feeling of hope and optimism at the beginning of every season. Such possibility, such positivity. Our guest speaker, Steve Leeper, hails from Cincinnati. He may have a few choice words for his baseball team, but it's early. That's the point, right? Let's be optimistic. The optimism I feel is about our city's momentum. We are staring so much possibility in the face. So much is going on. There's more in development. The opportunity is here, and it's why we all must be ready to double down in downtown. To kick us off with a welcome, I'd like to ask one of downtown's biggest cheerleaders to come up to say a few words. He's made city-owned properties available for redevelopment. He was successful with the state legislature to bring $100 million to downtown projects. And he's helping to change policy and law to help make development easier. Please help me welcome Mayor Greenberg to the stage.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. I appreciate everything that you and everyone at Louisville Downtown Partnership are doing. And it's wonderful to have my good friend Steve Leeper here to talk about the Cincinnati Renaissance that he has spearheaded and overseen for the past 20 years. Steve and I first got to know each other long before I ever thought about running for mayor when I did. At 21C Cincinnati, Steve and I helped make that project a reality. And Steve, it's great to have you back in Louisville. Well, speaking of back, friends, downtown Louisville is back. Downtown Louisville is the neighborhood where every local and every visitor should feel welcome, safe, energized, and excited. The place where you want to work, not have to work. The place where people of all ages and all incomes want to live. Where you can watch a sporting event, enjoy a performance, have a great meal, and never run out of bourbon. Where the historic architecture blends with the new, and where outdoor spaces are unlike anywhere else in the world. A place where you can shop for groceries and so much more. That's the downtown Louisville that I have been working to build, and that's the downtown Louisville that all of us in this room and so many more are building together. So please, ignore what your friends who have not been to downtown Louisville since 2020 are saying. Try to overcome the Louisville tendency to focus on our challenges and not our strength. Let me tell you just a little bit about all the positive momentum that's going on in downtown Louisville right now. First, safety. Downtown is safer than it has been in over a decade. Now, we still have a lot of work to do, but homicides and shootings are down over 30% year over year across the entire city. We've added 3 full-time police officers to the downtown patrol. Mounted patrols on weekends have been added. More ambassadors are in the Central Business District and in LUMED. More cameras that are connected to our real-time crime center. And Chief Humphrey and his team will be in their new LMPD headquarters right here in downtown by the end of this summer. Plus, the unsafe and unhealthy sprawl of encampments in downtown Louisville is behind us. We are now providing services and shelter to individuals in need for their health and their safety, while at the same time taking back our sidewalks, underpasses, and parks so that everyone can enjoy downtown. We still have work to do in providing support to those who are addicted and those who are struggling with mental health issues, and we must hold those accountable who choose to break the law. We will continue to make progress on this front with this opening of the community care campus, with our enhanced support for service providers, and with our focus on maintaining public safety in the heart of our city. Infrastructure also makes our downtown safer and more enjoyable. We just finished $2 million of downtown streetlights improvements. That means safer, more inviting streets for our residents, businesses, and visitors. We have $300,000 of new trash cans on their way to Nulu in downtown. Our I-65 overpasses that were once dirty and unsafe are now clean and well lit, some with great colors. And after years and years of talking and planning, we are taking action. And we're converting these one-way highways that we have downtown into two-way streets. We are well underway on the East Market Street streetscape, and by the end of this year, we'll be under construction on the reimagined Ninth Street. This will strengthen our efforts to end this historical divide, complete with a new linear park from Main Street all the way to Broadway. And speaking of divides, for years, we've all heard about the urban-rural divide in Frankfort, the war on Louisville. Friends, those days are over. Thanks to our new strengthened relationship with the leaders of the Kentucky General Assembly, downtown Louisville is getting ready to see more new projects than at any time in its history. It's all part of our $2 billion plan to make downtown even more booming and better than ever. Last year, as Rebecca just mentioned, the Kentucky General Assembly committed $1 billion for Louisville investments, including $200 million for the new U of L medical building in LUMED, and $100 million for 6 transformative projects right here in downtown. And just 2 weeks ago, the Kentucky General Assembly once again stepped up to support downtown Louisville, knowing that a strong, safe, vibrant downtown means a thriving Louisville. And a thriving Louisville means a growing, thriving Kentucky. For almost 20 years, it's been impossible to transform our surface parking lots into exciting, new, mixed-use developments due to the way that the arena TIF was structured many years ago. That was a great investment. One unintended consequence is this challenge that we've been having. So, all of these parking lots have remained asphalt, generating no revenue or activity for the city, for the state, or for the arena. So I asked the General Assembly to permit us to carve out some of these parking lots and create new TIF districts that would facilitate new homes, new jobs, new hotel rooms, new restaurants downtown. They said yes. And now a $250 million diamond district will soon be underway on the parking lot just east of Slugger Field, with more projects that weren't possible just 2 weeks ago, now possible. Yes. We also asked the General Assembly to help us try again, to develop the vacant land of the former Museum Plaza site. 2 weeks ago, that wasn't possible. Now, it is. Plus, we asked them to remove obstacles and other incentive programs that made new urban housing developments nearly impossible. Now, they're possible too. So thank you to Senate President Stivers, Speaker David Osborne, Representative Jason Nemes, Senator Julie Rocky Adams, Senator Gerald Neal, and the entire Jefferson County delegation, Democrats and Republicans. During your recent short session, you gave us new tools to strengthen the economic engine of our city and our state. And so now, it's on us. It's on all of us to use these new tools and new resources to deliver on the promise of prosperity, progress, and downtown pride. And here's a quick look at what I think this looks like. This $2 billion vision to make downtown booming and better than ever. As I just mentioned, the Slugger Field parking lot will become new homes, new restaurants, and new excitements every day, not just on game days. A new tower will rise above the recently flooded land just west of the Muhammad Ali Center. We need more people living downtown, and we must build thousands of new homes, apartments, and condos. And today, building new urban housing is not easy in today's high construction cost, not apparently going down interest rate environment. But we cannot use this reality as an excuse. So with these new tools that we're providing, we can plow forward in new, innovative ways. And I'm so excited for development partners in this room and all across this city and country to use these new tools and resources to build new homes on empty parking spaces on our city's surface parking lots, at 9th and Jefferson, at 6th and Market, at the old Greyhound bus station, and on the old Brown Brothers Cadillac site. And just 2 days ago, on the parking lots at Lynn Family Stadium, we announced the beginning of a new booming neighborhood in living, with living and entertainment options to enjoy again every day, not just on game days. And thanks to Elizabeth Strojan and our new leadership at Louisville Metro Housing Authority, the inhumane apartments at Dosker Manor are coming down. And they will be replaced, yes. And they will be replaced by safe, new, quality units. And plus, the decrepit apartments at Avenue Plaza will all be completely refurnished. We owe that to our residents who have been ignored for far too long. Beyond housing, we're working with Humana on the next chapter for the iconic Humana Tower. The vacant since my childhood Louisville Gardens is undergoing a historic rehabilitation into a new world-class production studio that will generate hundreds of jobs and accelerate the growth of our growing film industry in Kentucky. In Nulu, we'll see a new hotel in an old building where antiques were once sold, and Nulu Crossings will redefine urban living. Angel's Envy and Rabbit Hole are ready to expand their distilling and visitor experiences. I've recently re-engaged with the owners of 4th Street Live to plan that groundbreaking project's next act. Our new vacant building conversion fund is about ready to make its first investments to help add life into the far too many vacant buildings that need our help. We have an amazing, energetic, new CEO of LEDA, the Louisville Economic Development Alliance, Trevor Paul. He's on board, he's here today, and he's ready to help businesses invest in downtown, ready to help create jobs downtown, and speed up the great momentum that we have downtown and all across our city. And finally, we must connect all of these projects together with green infrastructure that is inviting, invigorating, and easy to get around. That's what's already underway in LUMED. We'll see LUMED Commons spring to life as a new park later this year. The Traeger Microforest is being planted right now. And located in the heart of our downtown, overlooking the history of our city and the Ohio River, sits the crumbling concrete of the Belvedere.
For more than 50 years, Louisville's Belvedere has been a place where the city comes together, where concerts, festivals, and everyday moments unfold against sweeping views of the Ohio River. Now, we're reimagining this iconic space. We enlisted the award-winning Heatherwick Studio. Their work is known for creating immersive spaces that blur the boundaries between architecture and nature, and where public life feels both exciting and welcoming. Rather than traditional plazas or walkways, we are envisioning a dynamic, three-dimensional space, one that invites people to move through, over, and within. A space with a relaxed, rolling landscape, rich with greenery, where the outdoors and indoors feel seamlessly connected. A space designed not just to be seen, but to be explored. The new Belvedere will be the vibrant heart of our downtown, to gather, to escape, to experience the best of Louisville. It will connect the city to the riverfront in a way that feels fresh, alive, and unmistakably ours. The Belvedere is back.
So friends, the Belvedere is coming back. Downtown is back. This $2 billion plan will make it boom and better than ever. So together, let's leave here today and all commit. Let's make all of this happen together. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for being such a great partner in the development of our downtown. So the question is, how do we double down on downtown? Downtown is our cultural and entertainment hub, our commerce center. It's where we experience community in good times and bad, where we show our urban pride, and where we can and should practice humanity always. We are the most connected we've ever been, yet have never felt more alone. 22% of millennials say they have no friends. That's sad. The former U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, declared an epidemic in 2023 around isolation and loneliness, in no small part, in my mind, due to the growing use of technology and that many of us are still working remotely 5 years after the onset of COVID. I'm sure it's no surprise to hear this from me, but we make a difference. Our presence is the vitality we want on the street and in our public spaces. And because downtown is everyone's neighborhood, it's the reason I always say why downtown is the place to be together. For example, I believe we should be back working in the office at least 4 days a week. Okay. At least I didn't say 5. We are social beings and we need that human connection, which means in downtown, investing in a sense of place and activation and creating those spaces that invite us to hang out and enjoy are vital. Downtown is itself an amenity for our city. So, short of having people at work in the office, the other way to get more feet on the street and that all-important vibrancy is getting more people to live in downtown. The mayor mentioned the residential conversion fund and some to-be-announced projects, and I'm very excited about that, and we need more. This is our focus for the foreseeable future, where we really do need to double down, to have the right financial tools and incentives in place to help create more residential opportunity and pedestrian activity, either through converting old office buildings or getting more active uses on our surface parking lots, and we have a lot of those. Residents are the only way to get that 24-hour activity on the street, and who will create the demand for more services and amenities. And it's residents who will visit the things that we're building. So we need to make sure we have places for them to live to. In our most recent update to the Economic Impact Report, which each of you have at your place, we are happy to report that the state of downtown is strong and getting stronger. Most of our numbers continue to increase, going in the right direction. Property values have decreased a tad in the central business district, mostly because of office vacancies, which is why the residential development is so important. But property values in Nulu are up, tourism is up, and investment is way up. Today, the total amount of current investment dollars, counting what is announced and underway, is $2.3 billion. I said last year we need to stop comparing ourselves to 2019, so we won't. But compared to just last year, that's almost a whole $1 billion more of investment that is taking place. And these investments are diverse. Hotels, bourbon experiences and tasting rooms, of course, we hear about those a lot, but housing and infrastructure projects and educational institution improvements and more. For the people who are saying downtown is dead or that nothing is happening here, clearly are not listening. Or we're not doing a good enough job of collectively telling that story. and I hope that's why we're here today. Last year in 2024, we saw $76 million in completed projects, such as the Last Refuge, Tempo Hotel, and Monks Road Boiler House. And 37 street-level businesses opened, a handful more than the year before, including Steak and Bourbon, Birdie's, Paxton's, and Metzli Modern Mexican. Say that one fast. Let's not miss the 11 new companies that decided to give themselves a new downtown address, bringing hundreds of new jobs into downtown from other locations in Louisville, such as My Financing USA, Clarion, and Work Architecture, to name a few. And we've got more than that same number of jobs already slated to come into downtown from other locations this year. And just this year, 3 new additions have already been announced. Fabricated Metals is bringing its headquarters to 4th Street. Silico Capital already opened its regional office on Whiskey Row. And Steptoe & Johnson announced it will be moving its law firm to the PNC Tower this fall. Talk about putting your money where your mouth is. Thank you, Carol. And I know I've seen a lot of you, several of you out in the audience today. Thank you for walking the talk. We also saw a handful of companies who are located in downtown who, for whatever reason, needed to move. And they also deserve recognition for recommitting and staying in downtown because they knew it was important, such as KPFF, Business First, and Computershare. Thank you. And then the existing nearly 1,500 companies who have been here. They've put their roots down here, and they've been holding down the fort all through everything. And we know more is on the way. Stay tuned for more exciting developments to come online, such as Nulu Crossing, U of L's Envirom Institute, and the mayor mentioned LuMed Commons, a beautiful green space in the heart of the medical center that will open in October. Our visits to downtown also went up. Looking at the total number of annual visits, including repeat visits across all user groups, so residents, employees, and visitors, 2024 saw 36.5 million people in our downtown, ahead of 2023 by about 1 million more people. As you can see, employees are about 1/3 of the 36.5 million visits to downtown. So we need to thank tourism and bourbon. But also let's consider this. If all 66,000 of us downtown employees came back to the office just 1 day a week, just one, assuming 260 workdays a year, that annual number of people on our streets goes up by nearly 3.5 million people. That's the vitality we're talking about, the pedestrian activity that makes us all feel better, that makes us all want to be part of that space. And that would be life-changing for our small businesses who, by the way, locate in downtown to provide the services we expect. I know we're all scared to talk about making employees come back to the office. I can't tell you what to do. But hopefully you get enough information here today to tell your friends and coworkers the good news and think maybe differently about how we do things. We love our city. We do choose to live here, right? So why not work together to help make it a better place? And how do we do that? I'd encourage you to come to an event. Waterfront Wednesday announced its series just this morning. Hang out in some improved public spaces. Invest in the building next door. Bring a friend downtown. Have that friend bring a friend downtown. Encourage a business owner you know to open a location, and so many more things. A lot of us are working to set the table, making those foundational investments in additions to our public spaces, or getting new policies or incentives in place, like the mayor mentioned, which help make those developments doable. Our downtown strategy calls for helping to strengthen our anchor institutions and venues by activating downtown and giving reasons for people to leave their homes or neighborhoods, something different that you can't get there. At Louisville Downtown Partnership, we also are putting on events. We're working on expanding the Business Improvement District to get ambassadors in more spaces in downtown. We're installing public art and putting surprising, whimsical pops of color on the street through more city spots. We are investing in special lighting. We are working at the state level to expand a tax abatement program and help tweak other incentive tools which will help make development easier. And we are working with LMPD and local and state regulators to create a new entertainment destination center so you can carry your drink out of a restaurant or a bar down the street to another. Yes. All of these inure to a more exciting, vibrant, better feeling downtown. Wow. Chief, take note. And we have a few surprises up our sleeve for this year. Your financial support helps us achieve more. So I'm going to put in a shameless plug. If you are not already a friend of downtown, and thank you to the more than 100 friends we have, I hope you will become one today to help us afford more activations and beautification. and there are 500 of us in the room, surely we can exponentially increase the number of new friends. Yes, these projects may seem smaller in scale. They're not new hotels or bourbon experiences, and they may not be transformational, but they are the details that make your experience more engaging, make you be in a place that you feel good in. They attract other investment, and they give people confidence and comfort to come downtown and to do more. We feel safe when we see other people doing something. And guess who those other people are? That's us. We have an opportunity to make a difference. I would say a responsibility. We know safety is the foundation of our success in downtown, and downtown is safe. Unfortunately, like the mayor said, there's a perception of downtown not being safe because people repeat things they hear. A lot of times from people who haven't been downtown or downtown in a long time. So it is our responsibility to be sharing the facts about what our experiences are and what is happening here. LMPD has transformed itself since we were together last year, and they are a critical partner. We have a new chief and a new major, both of whom are committed 110% to downtown and instinctively know its importance to the health of the rest of the city. Hopefully, they actually make this job a lot of fun. Hopefully you noticed officers as you came in today, and their increase in proactive patrolling on the streets. Their simple equation, more officers plus more hours equals more coverage. And more importantly for you and me, that means more police visibility. In addition to LMPD, Louisville Downtown Partnership has a strong team of important partners. Louisville Tourism, so we can help inspire and develop authentic experiences where conventioneers and tourists are. Homeless service and shelter providers, because we want everyone who needs help to get the services and housing they need. Waterfront Park, a downtown gym with several perfect settings for events. And GLI, LEDA, Downtown Residents Association, Public Works, Cabinet for Economic Development, and of course the mayor's office. And last, but certainly not least, our ambassadors who are our front door to downtown and whose numbers we want to keep growing. All important partners on the team. I'm a big fan of team sports. No great wins are ever done alone. In organizational theory, stick with me, you all, this is about the only thing I remember from grad school. How work teams are structured and operate can be characterized by different sports. Interestingly, baseball is the only team sport which relies on both team collaboration, fielding the ball, and also individual performance, hitting the ball, by the same players to drive a team's outcome. This is the same idea for downtown development, where coordination and adapting to changing situations is necessary to achieve success. Just look at these momentous anniversaries we're celebrating for some major downtown attractions that show off this teamwork. Just this year, we get to mark the 15th anniversary of the Yum Center, 20th anniversary for the Muhammad Ali Center, and the 25th year of playing baseball, yes, another baseball reference, at Louisville Slugger Field. Actually, one more thing, Bats opening night is tomorrow night. Hopefully I'll see you there. Fraser History Museum's 20th anniversary was last year, and next year is Louisville Slugger Museum's 35th anniversary, when our downtown renaissance really got kicked off. These significant milestones not only show tremendous staying power, but how we work together as a team on different kinds of major developments over many years' time, and that attract a variety of people to our downtown, all of which continues to inform the progression of development in downtown. Louisville Downtown Partnership has put together a 10-year road plan for what you said you want downtown to look and feel like over the next decade. So developers, property owners, and businesses can see opportunity and build or grow. Hopefully they're successful and they make some money. LDP and the city fill in with beautification and infrastructure, and the community gets a cool new asset. We all win. You have in front of you a flyer that spells out our downtown strategy and implementation plan of 65 projects, big and small. You can go to our website to see all the specific projects and status, which we will keep updated as we touch them all. As we are not even 1 year into rolling out the strategy, we wanted to show you a sliver of the work we're doing that highlights what you told us you wanted in downtown. Let's roll the video.
It's been a little over a year since the release of our 10-year downtown development strategy, and so much is happening. Thanks to public and private sector investment, activity over the last year has been very strong. The strategy of the 10-year plan is guided by 3 strategic initiatives: Activate Downtown, reinforce downtown as a residential neighborhood, and enhance the public realm.
There are so many exciting things going on downtown right now. We are moving in an amazing new direction. We have lots of big projects like the new community care campus. LUMED is expanding. More new housing projects all over downtown, including by the soccer stadium and Louisville Slugger Field.
I'm really excited about the investment in the Louisville Gardens. It's not only bringing a beloved historic building back, but it's also bringing a new industry into our downtown, which is going to create more jobs and more activity and more opportunities for people who want to live downtown. I love what's going on with our distilleries. Since 2013, we have 20 distillery experiences that have been built. 20. We like to say here, bourbon is just the beginning. We have a growing music scene. We have a growing culinary scene. We're very excited about both of those. The waterfront continues to be an area that we see a lot of our visitors make their way to while they're here in town.
Waterfront Park Phase 4 is a 22-acre expansion of Waterfront Park westward between 10th and 14th Streets along the river that we will be transforming into yet an additional vibrant community space.
Residential development is a major focus now in order to create the needed options for young professionals who we know want to live in an urban setting. There are a handful of developments underway that will create vibrancy and that necessary 18 to 24-hour activity.
The Louisville Sports Entertainment District will be a lively mixed-use entertainment district adjacent to Slugger Field that is a mix of multifamily housing, boutique hotel, restaurants, retail, green space, parking, and much more to add to a very vibrant downtown Louisville.
Thanks to the support from the Kentucky General Assembly, we're using some of those funds to help turn vacant buildings into exciting, activated, full new places for hospitality, residential, entertainment, and more.
With the Motorworks development, we are providing an opportunity for affordable housing in downtown, which is extremely important. And we want to be able to give people of different backgrounds, different income levels, and different age levels the opportunity to live and work and play downtown.
We believe that we, alongside the Downtown Partnership, can provide a very diverse option of activities to broaden who is coming to downtown Louisville. We think that pedestrian activity, activating the streets, increasing foot traffic every single day is very critical to uplifting and elevating downtown Louisville to make this not just a place, but a community where people want to be 365 days a year.
I like living downtown because it's close to everything I love about Louisville, whether it's the nightlife or athletic game or the bourbonism and the convenience. It's really easy to live in downtown.
Downtown is Louisville's neighborhood. It's not only the economic driver of the city and the state, it's the cultural driver of the city and the state. People want to come downtown to have a good time, to do their business, and LMPD has to be a part of that. We have to make sure that people feel safe downtown.
Enhancing the public realm means making downtown more connected, more pedestrian-friendly, and improving the aesthetic experience of being downtown for tourists, residents, and workers. Louisville Downtown Partnership has implemented many placemaking initiatives to help make public spaces more attractive and welcoming, such as a new city spot at 4th and Jefferson Street, rotating temporary public art installations, a new walking tour on any platform where you listen to your favorite podcasts, underpass lighting on Main and Market Streets, and new cigarette butt bins. We also put on events to complement other downtown activities so that people have reasons to get out of their homes, including new events this past year, such as Pickleball Street Fest, a growing Steins on Main event, and our returning favorites, Food Truck Wednesday, Downtown Drive-In, and the Silent Disco.
We actually have seen some progress on two-way conversions. Jefferson Street east of downtown was converted earlier this year. We expect Main Street will be converted. We've got a big intersection project at Story and Main. So that corridor is really combining our residential neighborhoods with the Russell area, our central business district, and then our medical district on the east. So you really have a continuing thread going from east to west through downtown Louisville.
I am so excited about the transformation of the Belvedere. It's a wonderful connector to bring people together from all over our city and all over the world. Progress begets progress, and it's important for people across Louisville to see that progress.
We are very committed to Louisville and to downtown and have made the investment to do so, not only through the Motorworks property, but also the fact that we moved our headquarters downtown and renovated the old Madrid building on 3rd Street.
It's great for everybody in Louisville to see continued investment and development in the surrounding area. And so we're eager to be partners, to play a small part, to help uplift Louisville broadly, not just the area around Slugger Field.
This, I think, should be the goal for what the Louisville downtown becomes. The city is ever renewing. The downtown is always flourishing and always changing and always interesting, not only for people that are living there, but for people that are visiting, both from the Louisville area coming downtown and from the rest of the world coming to Louisville.
Louisville is the economic engine of our state. We need downtown Louisville to thrive so that every other neighborhood across our city and state can also thrive. Whether people are coming here to work, to visit, to live, downtown Louisville is a critically important neighborhood.
With so much already happening in the first year of our community's 10-year strategy, we have so much to be proud of. What an exciting time for our community to embrace the significance of our downtown, the continued investment we are seeing, and to keep driving this momentum. Together, we can make our downtown the best it can be.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Lance Gilbert. I'm chair of the Louisville Downtown Development Corporation, and for those that don't know me that well, it's probably most of you in this room, I'm also chairman of Net Results Group, which is a master data management company for large asset-intensive industries in Fortune 500. As of yesterday, our company now exists on 4 continents in 11 countries, and we all do it here from Louisville, Kentucky, which is an amazing thing. And as part of the downtown, it's important for my friends here today who support us to know that we appreciate your support. We appreciate you trying to get your friends, your neighbors here to downtown, because it's important, as you heard the mayor and Rebecca, we are thriving, and it's all because of you. So let me introduce our speaker for you today as a segue to downtown. Steve Leeper, CEO, I'm going to say this correctly, Cincinnati Center City Development Corporation. It's a tongue twister. Also known as 3CDC. You will hear from their private and public sectors pulled together to invest in their downtown differently than they have done before. They are an organization we have looked up to, caring for an active downtown with 2 stadiums, pro sports, and how they have become the developers and turned a downtown adjacent neighborhoods into a desirable neighborhood. So let me impress upon you, because I was very impressed with Steve's credentials. Over the 20 years, Steve's leadership at 3CDC has invested, get this number, $2 billion in downtown Cincinnati and over the Rhine neighborhoods. That's an impressive number. And if you haven't seen Over the Rhine or been there or visited, it really has transformed into a tremendous neighborhood. And I know someone personally who spent a lot of money in a boutique jewelry shop there as well. So in addition, Steve completed transforming 4 of Cincinnati's premier civic spaces: Fountain Square, Washington Park, Memorial Hall, and Ziegler Park. He's also turned an old apartment building into 21C, and I'm sure the mayor knows that very well. He's renovated the music hall, which is kind of what we're doing with Louisville Gardens, right? As well as some mixed-use neighborhoods, resulting in new headquarters, hotel, and of course, Jeff Ruvery's premier location. Steve and 3CDC also manage another impressive number, $200 million in local corporately funded revolving loan funds. And that dwarfs what we do here at LDC. We actually have 2 loan funds. If you aren't familiar with them, I encourage you to learn more about it. But we have a commercial loan fund and a housing assistance fund that we manage as well, but obviously much less than what Steve does. So one of the things I learned about Steve when I was talking to him and Rebecca is that they both have a love of baseball and baseball stadiums. And as I have heard, today is, as we know, opening day. The Cincinnati Reds has a parade going on right now for opening day, which Steve has sacrificed his time to come here and not go to the parade. And how I learned about this was one of my new employees, Gina, said to me, "Can I have the day off?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well, I'll try to get you tickets for June at Cincinnati because they're playing the New York Yankees." And I instinctively said, "Have a good time, see you Friday." So with that, I'd like to introduce Steve Leeper, and let's all give him a big baseball, loud congratulations and welcome.
Thank you, Lance, Rebecca, Mayor. Of course, Mayor Greenberg was involved with 3CDC almost 20 years ago. We mentioned the 21C Hotel, which we were the second 21C after Louisville. But he also, when we mentioned the funds, development funds, Mayor Greenberg, when working for Frost, Brown, and Todd, not only applied and secured our New Market Tax Credit Fund of $50 million back then, but he helped write the legal documents to get us moving, and we ended up lending $100 million out of that fund. So thank you, Mayor. You don't know what you got here. He's a good man. Speaking of 3CDC, we are a full-service real estate development company and management company. We were formed, unfortunately, as a result of an incident in 2001 where a young man lost his life in Over the Rhine at the hands of a police officer. Over the Rhine had already been deteriorating, but this really it drove a nail in the coffin. So that deterioration was so obvious, but what was more subtly going on was a loss of investment in downtown. So then Mayor Charlie Lukin and then CEO A.G. Lafley from Procter & Gamble got together, and they said, we want to form this development corporation, and we are going to have it focused strictly on the central business district and this adjacent neighborhood at Over the Rhine. So that's how it started. I was in Pittsburgh in 2004, got recruited for the job, and here we are today. As I mentioned, we are in a very limited area where we do our work. We've had this from time to time, had folks wanting to convince us to move outside of this area, but I think it's absolutely critical that your focus be targeted and intense, and that's what it's been. So the blue represents the central business district. The red represents Over the Rhine. The red road between the two is Central Parkway, which used to be a canal. All the Germans located in Over the Rhine, and hence the name. We talk about priorities. These 4 priorities have remained the same since we've begun. We believe in creating and managing great civic spaces, high density and mixed use development. We talk about surface parking lots and how important they are to eliminate those, and that's been a focus of ours. We believe in our historic structures. Over the Rhine is one of the largest intact historic districts in the country, so we do not demolish buildings. At least we try not to. And then, of course, Over the Rhine has really become a great, diverse, mixed-income, mixed-use neighborhood that we're very proud of. Our investors are all the corporate leaders in Cincinnati and civic leaders. We are very fortunate to have a very large corporate presence, obviously led by Procter & Gamble. They have contributed about $1.1 million every year to our operating budget. It was 100% of our budget in 2004. Today, it's about 5% of our budget. And you can see in these very small numbers what our budget is, but we have about a $26 million operating budget every year that does a variety of different things, including the merger of the Downtown Improvement District with our corporation. And so you can see in that line item, the special improvement districts represent about $4 million worth of our operating budget. We mentioned the development funds. We had $200 million worth of funds that they've invested with us. We keep recycling that, and we've invested about $785 million in those funds in real estate over the last 20 years. We talked about what we've done in the $2 billion and what it's created, but even though we've invested $700 million, when it says the $395 million, that's actually the permanent financing that stayed in our various projects. And we've public funding from the state and the city, a lot of that has been through these brilliantly created tax increment financing districts that our former mayor, when he was on city council, created. We did not create a downtown district and an over-the-Rhine district. We split it. We have a downtown over-the-Rhine East and a downtown over-the-Rhine West. And the reason for that is it's a Robin Hood effect. We can take the growth of the TIF district downtown and invest in the blighted neighborhood of over the Rhine. And it was, quite frankly, that was created before I got there, and it was just a wonderful element to allow us to do our job. This talks about some of the things we've done, go down the list, and don't need to get into it, but we've developed over 200 buildings. We do both what a traditional developer would do, office, retail, housing, but we do a lot of things that a private developer would not do, like manage civic spaces. We built 3 comprehensive residential and service facilities for the homeless. We renovated our music hall, and presently we're renovating on behalf of the city and the county the convention center and bringing a new convention center hotel. We have a staff, in-house corporate staff of about 70 individuals that have a variety of different skills. And then we have our field staff that provide the services, like your ambassadors, in downtown and in our civic spaces. And we have and also in our parking facilities, because we run 6,000 we own and run 6,000 parking spaces, and we have our own staff do that. But we have about 100 folks permanently that work in the field every day. Central Business District, this is no different than what you see in your own town. We battle the same battles that you have, whether it's surface parking lots or deteriorated buildings or any of the other challenges you may see every day. That was old Fountain Square when we started in 2003, and there was people in that city that said, there's nothing wrong with that. When somebody says it's just fine, that is a clear message that you better do something and do something fast. The Metropole, this was very controversial. The Metropole Apartments was a 203-unit Section 8 that was under a consent decree that required 24-hour police presence in it. And it's right across from the Aronoff Center. And it was controversial because we went to our board and we bought it. And we relocated folks, and took 2 years to relocate the folks, not knowing what we were going to do with the building. And subsequently, we was able to get a wonderful hotel by the name of 21C to move into it. And then these are just a series of vacant buildings and things that we were trying to address over time, including surface parking lots and deteriorated infrastructure that we've had to rebuild. That was for those who remember or may be old enough, in 2004, 2005, that was the Masonette. That was the longest running 5-star, believe it or not, in Cincinnati, the longest running 5-star restaurant in the United States, like 40 years. It closed, and everyone thought it was the beginning of the end. But we realized that people don't eat 7-course meals anymore. Kind of change our habit a little bit. So we bought those buildings, and there's a prevailing theme here that goes through that. When we see deterioration and we see a distressed property, we act quickly, working with our colleagues at the city. We get control property, and then we work on a development plan. And today, this is Fountain Square, which is the center of our city. 21C Hotel, for those that have not been there. And then there's a prevailing theme here. All of these buildings were built on sites that were former surface parking lots. And we sometimes team up with private developers. For instance, on the gray building, that is Kroger's analytics arm, 8451, where they do their consumer analytics. That's a 300,000 square foot office building. We have the parking and the retail. They build above. And then there's a series of other private developers who have taken on properties where we do the retail and parking. They go ahead and do the housing above. That's now Boca and Soto, who are 2 of our finest restaurants, run by David Falk. He also has a restaurant right next to it. That is in what is called our Fountain District, and it has become great nightlife. That's right down from Kroger's headquarters. That's our new Kroger grocery store on the first floor. North American Properties doing a 200-unit apartment building above, right at the edge of downtown and the over the Rhine neighborhood. And it's, again, a prevailing theme. Surface parking lot, this is what we have today. This is I think, an interesting thing because, Rebecca's talking about people coming back to work. First of all, people need to come back to work. I mean, really? I mean, we don't need to get into politics and some of the stuff that's going on in Washington is absolutely crazy. But the idea that federal workers don't have to come back to work, I mean, are you kidding me? We have been back to work literally in May of 2020. Now, we were every other seat, and because we were in a bullpen, but we have come back to work, and our companies have come back to work, and we are bullish on office. So in 2020, then the mayor, John Cranley, and I met, and this was shortly after the shutdown occurred. We bought that building. It was the old former Macy's right on Fountain Square, and we said, we cannot have this building vacant on Fountain Square. We cannot do that. So together, along with our board, started in May of 2020 a speculative office building right on Fountain Square. And I am happy to say it was a $74 million project. We were $18 million into that building from our funds with no tenant. So there were some sleepless nights. But today, it is completely occupied. So it's about 160,000 square feet of office from Deloitte and Turner and DMG, which was in Northern Kentucky but now moved over. And then all the street-level retail has all been created, and they are now an integral part of this Fountain District. And you can get a sense. People do come back to the office. They want offices that are exciting and different, and these are the office spaces that are now created in this area. So, and by the way, because we can see their parking numbers, I can see it on my phone. We have 2,500 spaces right in that area, which are our prime parking spaces. And clearly, at least on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, of those 2,500 parking spaces, we have like 2,600 cars parked in there. We're stacking cars in some of our garages because people are coming back to work, and it makes a difference. I think those companies realize that for long term, it's for their culture, for their young folks to be properly educated in the work world. This remote work is, maybe I'm showing my age, but it is bizarre. Over the Rhine. Folks who've never been there, I can't tell you, it was eye-opening when I decided to take the job and what I saw there. It's not just that we all have seen deteriorated neighborhoods around the country. It's very unusual to see a deteriorated neighborhood that is literally across Central Parkway, a relatively low-traveled road, not a highway, where the Kroger headquarters is. And this neighborhood had fallen and deteriorated, and you can see the proximity there. We, again, controversial, while we were renovating Fountain Square, we proceeded to go ahead and begin buying property. So we bought, 200 buildings, something like that, spent well over $32 million. It's really, when you look back and ask how we've had some of the success that we've had, and certainly some of the failures that we've had. But one of the things that led to our ability to redevelop this neighborhood was two things. One is that fund that you created, Mayor, was the one fund that we used, and we used that New Markets Fund unlike just about anybody else. We actually used it as a revolving loan fund, and it was the primary funding source to get this done in this neighborhood. Secondly, as crazy as it sounds, one of the best things to happen to us was the recession of 2007 and 2008. Well, why is that? Well, we didn't have to battle with speculators because a lot of people didn't have the money. And secondly, a lot of people had to sell their property, and we had the cash. So we were able to go ahead and acquire property. And then the last thing that benefited is we had our first wave of condominiums. So when we started redeveloping this, as opposed to going after apartments, we decided we wanted to do condominiums, even though it was more risky and did not progress as quickly as it would be if you did apartments, because we needed people to have an equity interest, a real interest in that neighborhood. And what came out of the recession was I can't remember if it was I think it was a $10,000 tax credit for first-time home buyers. And it was the impetus to start to have people who were young folks move into the neighborhood. But this is what we ended up in. I mean, there's a general narrative that we gentrified the neighborhood and we kicked all the people out. That is what I would say is a lazy narrative. There were no folks living there, and what folks were living there were within restricted units that had either Section 8 or low-income tax credits, and there were restrictive covenants that they had to stay there. And so they needed reinvested, but those folks stayed in the neighborhood. But this is what we were dealing with. That yellow tape's there because a young man lost his life in that park. Music Hall was right in the middle of this neighborhood, and then there was a series of carryouts and other places in that neighborhood where criminal activity was going on. That pool was Ziegler Park, and we'll talk a little bit about Ziegler Park later, but that last year that pool was open, they had 1,500 folks swim in that pool the entire summer. When we opened Ziegler Park Pool for the first time, we had 1,500 in the first weekend. And it's because you have to build something and then you have to manage it, and that's really important. But this is what we were looking at. And for the most part, we lost none of these buildings. All these buildings have been renovated. Today we have about $860 million that we've invested in that neighborhood. All that yellow has been completed. In fact, that little blue should be yellow right now. That's a completed project as well. And this is what we have today. We've done about 520 condominiums. You can see how the prices have changed over time, and to the good. But we've also done a significant amount of affordable housing in the neighborhood, well over 460 units of different kinds. It has different levels of affordability. Some of them have some special needs housing associated with it, some elderly housing, some with services. What I never anticipated was the growth and the strength of the commercial district. We have 41 bars and restaurants in the neighborhood, 25 retailers, office space, and of course service businesses. That mix makes for a very healthy business district. And we do not focus on big places. We build particularly our restaurants and bars, we build them for Tuesday in February. They're generally a couple thousand square feet with unique concepts. Virtually every establishment in that neighborhood is local. There's not one chain. Other than McCormick and Schmick downtown, there's only one chain restaurant in downtown Cincinnati. All of them are all grown locally. And of those, to also mention there, particularly in Over the Rhine, 1 out of every 3.5, almost 1 out of every 3.5 businesses there, so almost 40% of the businesses are owned by minority businesses, primarily African American. And then civic space development, we talked a little bit, Lance mentioned this, but this has just been a fundamental part of what we do. And we're not worried about the big events as much. Our chamber puts on the big events. We worry about every day, programming this so there's something going on every day of the year. And so we run Fountain Square, Washington Park, Memorial Hall, Ziegler Park, and then we have some smaller ones that we created as part of the pandemic, Court Street Plaza and Imagination Alley. And now, right next to our convention center, we are putting another 2-acre civic space right next to the convention center that we are renovating, where we're going to move our skating rink from Fountain Square. And you can see the number of events. Washington Park has 410 events a year. Ziegler Park, 267. Memorial Hall, which is a 500-seat concert venue, we have about 287, and of course Imagination Alley, which is just a little neighborhood park pocket park that we do things with some of the affordable housing communities. We have about 59. And then of course Fountain Square is our behemoth, nearly 500. And of course it's a center of attention today because of opening day. And then at Court Street Plaza, which is a street that we turn into pedestrian and easily do so as the design provided for that, and we close it down multiple times a year. We have very strong relationships with our corporate community. In addition to the operating money that they put into it, and in addition to the capital funds, sponsorships on our events is very important. So we have a whole team that does nothing but sell sponsorships. We generate about $2 million a year in sponsorship. The third is taken center stage at Fountain Square, but we have others throughout each of our. So it's a very entrepreneurial approach in our civic spaces. So we're not only selling sponsorships, but we're also, in case of Washington Park and Fountain Square, we have permanent beverage bar, in other words, bars in those spaces that we open up. If it's 50 degrees and warmer, it could be February, it could be August. That bar is open, and we do business, and we open it up at the snap of a finger. Center City Management. We merged in 2019, I believe, with the Business Improvement District, which was Downtown Cincinnati, Inc. That was the best thing that happened. The benefits of having the two organizations work together has reaped a lot of benefits. I mentioned that between the Over the Rhine and Downtown District, the assessments generate about $3.9 million a year. Because we've merged and because we can benefit from our existing overhead being paid for by the balance of the corporation, about 83% of our assessment dollars goes into the field that pays the folks that work for us in the field. And we were able to treat them fairly. It's a very important part of what we do. They are all direct employees of ours. We pay 100% of their health benefits. We have 40 full-time employees that work in the business districts and in our civic spaces, and we've had a 15% turnover in 3 years. They stay with us. And more importantly, it's a big part of our mission, which is we do second chance and third chance programs. So about 50 or 60% of these folks are former felons. And they are, let me be clear, we are not doing them a favor. They're doing us a favor. If you know how they handle matters out in that public realm, how well they handle it when there's moments of distress, they handle it with grace and dignity, but very firm, and they know how to do it. And we are very fortunate to have them. And I'm sure you feel the same way about the folks that work for you. So let's give those folks a hand, actually. And that, everyone's complaining about, what it's been like over the last, coming out of the during the pandemic and coming out of the pandemic. Those are the folks that had to be on the front line during those most challenging times, and we should be very proud of them. And just gives you a little bit more stats about what they're. And then we also, like I believe you do, we have outreach workers, again, doing the Lord's work out there on the front line, trying to address both, our problem with homelessness is, I assume it's the case here, it's not primarily an affordability issue. It's primarily a mental health issue, adding on with drug addiction and alcoholism. And these folks that work in this outreach effort of Generosity 513 have done a wonderful job. So what else are we up to, and what are we doing now? Right now, we are very much focused on our convention district. We, unlike you, who've done a nice job renovating your convention center, we had a very tired convention center. And part of it was sort of the city and county both had a role. No one was taking the lead. They were spending the hotel tax in different ways. Well, we sort of forced the issue, and we now have the convention center. We closed it down July of last year, and we will open it up with a $250 million renovation at the end of this year, along with a public plaza that will sit right next to it. That public plaza will actually open in November. We'll move the skating rink there. We are also are working with a group out of Atlanta, Portman Holdings, that build a new 700 or 800 room convention center hotel. And the beauty of it is, it is right 2 blocks from our convention district, or from our Fountain District, and there's been a significant amount of investment all around in that area. So in addition to this convention center hotel, it's almost $1 billion collectively that we are underway. And you can see that tired picture of our convention center in the corner, and what that remake is happening as we speak. Doesn't look like it's going to make it for the end of the year, but it actually will. And then again, getting bullish on office, right next to the Macy's building was a former Saks Fifth Avenue that closed. City swooped in, exercised their rights to buy that building, bought the building, immediately turned it over to us. We then, on a speculative basis, started working on it, and we have landed Paycor, which is the name of the Steelers, that's Freudian. The Bengals Stadium, Paycor, their headquarters are moving into that building. And then we've landed 2 restaurants on the first floor. So that is right next to the convention center and a block from Fountain Square. But again, we are bullish on that office development, and it is going to be that Fifth Avenue corridor is going to lead right to Fifth Street corridor, is going to lead right to Fountain Square and create that very vibrant Fountain District, which we are really promoting and marketing as that district, where we have this series of, with a wide range of price points and quality in that district that I think is going to be a very marketable aspect of our convention business, and that's our effort to market it as such. And then lastly, if you go, we've made so much progress in Over the Line, but Over the Line's a big neighborhood, and so we've worked primarily between Central Parkway and Liberty, but you go north of Liberty, and that's where our public market is, Finley Market. It is challenging. It's like as if we're starting all over again. So we are working with our friends at the city, are moving on very aggressively to invest in that neighborhood. So just to the north, so you can see that red area, the white shaded area is the area that we are now moving into, and had previously focused everything to the south of that. And so up around Finley Market, we are beginning to coalesce around a series of public spaces, but also some mixed income housing in the area. This is what we're looking at. Looks eerily close to what the south part of Over the Line looked like. But we are moving in quickly. We are building and we hope to close on the financing in April 29th and begin the very first week of May construction, a $50 million community center that will have both a recreational aspect, an educational aspect, and health aspect to it. And that will be right next to the Finley Market, the actual market itself. We're building a new nonprofit health center, so it's one of those federally acknowledged health centers that will be right next to it. But all in all, it's about a $97 million investment between the community center, the health center, which will, a community center will have a child care, 8,000 square foot child care, a community center, and then residential, about 45 units of housing and some open space. And it's about $95 million that we are proceeding on. The health center and the community center both are new markets transactions that need to close at the end of April, so we can get moving on it and try to change the culture in that neighborhood. It is right now one of the most challenged parts, certainly of our city, but one of the most challenging neighborhoods in the country in terms of gun violence. And some things need to change, and we need to make positive investments that will give some of the children, particularly in that neighborhood, an opportunity for some change in their lives, positive change. And with that, I want to thank you for having me. You are our sister city. We're proud of what you've done here, and we love to come visit here, and we would love for you to come visit us. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Lots of information, lots of inspiration. Our boards will be busy talking about this. By the way, really quickly, all board members for LDMD and DDC, please stand up. We have not recognized you if you're in the room. Take a moment to recognize our many, many board members. Thank you. All right, so the optimism that was going on in Cincinnati 20 years ago is exactly the nexus where I think we sit today. We need a lot of money, but we're at that perfect intersection of confidence in our downtown and figuring out the resources to get it together, to get it done. How do we find that optimism? What are the missing pieces? Can we find the way to be that individual performer and team player, getting what we want for our own company, our own experience, our own development, while also helping our downtown and city be the most unique and fun place for everyone who uses it? So in closing, I challenge each of you to find your why. What can you do for your downtown? What is it you love? What brought you here today? My why is that, where I had a slide, my why is that I get a lot of juice out of public service, of helping people and talking at my hometown and making projects get to fruition. And I know a lot of you feel the same because you've been alongside me for the ride. And here's my other why. This is my 21-year-old daughter who is graduating college in a few short weeks and is deciding where to live and where to go to grad school next year. We all know someone who has or will be making this very important life decision. And the work that we do every day in our city helps these young adults make this decision, either in our favor or not. So let's rally together and help them by keeping up this momentum, by putting new life into our beautiful old buildings, creating cool, unique experiences, making our streets more pedestrian-friendly where people want to hang out, adding new places to live that people of all incomes can afford, and making our city 50 times, 100 times more of what we already love about it. Thank you for supporting your downtown. You are the heart of the story, and now is the time to double down. Catch a baseball game.